You're listening to Zeitgeist Banana, a podcast all about the English language. My name's Gideon. I'm in Paris, and today I'm joined in London by Jon. Awumia, Jon.
Awumia, how's it going?
It's going great. So
Wow.
I've adopted this Awumia.
You have.
Yes.
It's exciting. Can you explain to the listeners where you've adopted it from?
Apparently, I say apparently because I'd never actually heard it in conversation. Awumia is a Black country greeting. Black country are like the towns north of Birmingham, around Wolverhampton, Dudley. I can't think of any more big towns around there. And apparently they greet each other instead of saying, how's it going? They say Awumia.
Okay. They probably did that in the 1970s, though, maybe.
Probably. I kind of like it. So I've adopted it, even though it's got sort of nothing to do where I come from. And we made a video recently together, didn't we, Jon?
We did. We made a couple of videos, didn't we? Yeah. Yeah. They came out pretty well.
Yeah. Yes. So any listeners out there who haven't seen our videos on the Brummie accent, the Brummie is from Birmingham accent, then shame on you. You should definitely check them out on Let Them Talk TV and also the other one on English with Monty YouTube channel. Is that right, Jon?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we've got a 5-minute one where Gideon and I we have a nice little chat about Brummie, and apparently I sound more like somebody from the Black Country. So
yeah, well, you are from around those parts, though.
I am, yeah.
It wasn't a fake. It was true. It's true. You are around there.
Kind of, yeah.
From around there.
Let's say that,
yeah. So today we're not talking about the Brummie accent today because what's the video for that today? The subject is how to be polite in English. Jon, you bastard.
Oh my God. It started already. This is how Gideon normally is with me. He's not a polite British gentleman, as he may come across on occasion.
Yes.
He just abuses me constantly. So.
I'm teasing you.
You are teasing me, yeah. You're very nice to me normally.
I'm normally polite with everybody.
Yeah, you are.
Even with you.
Even with me, yeah.
Even when it's unmerited.
Which is most of the time.
Most of the time. So we're going to look at sort of different points about how to be polite in English. Just a sort of introduction to this. English is kind of strange because, you only have one you. All the other languages, I checked before I was checking. I said, are there any other languages that only have one you? And I couldn't find any. Maybe one of the listeners knows.
Okay. That's curious, isn't it?
All the languages that, I'm a little bit familiar with, have tu and vous in French and tu, Steve, and was it Italian lei and tu and stuff? You tell me, Jon.
Sorry, you wanted me to jump in there. Yeah, it's true, isn't it? I'd never really thought too deeply about that, but obviously if you have two different forms in those languages, then one of them is the more polite form, isn't it? So yeah, we don't have that.
Makes it easier, doesn't it? Because you automatically know you're going to be polite if you're using a polite form.
I guess so, yeah. I mean, I suppose it makes it a bit more of a social convention, doesn't it, when you have the polite form of you, whereas we have other ways, don't we? Whereas I suppose it is a social convention as well, but just slightly different, like as in people can't I don't know whether they would do that in French or not. I don't know. But if you said to your boss in France and it's quite a formal scenario, do you think he'd be upset?
It could be a faux pas.
Could be a faux pas,
but
yeah.
Okay. On the other hand, if you use like a vous form, and you can use an imperative like donnez-moi, give me. It's polite because you're using a polite form. But in English, if you should give me that, you wouldn't. Oh, well, you could. Well, you might if you know the person quite well, of course. But generally wouldn't because it's not so polite. But so in English has a strange thing that we only have one form of you. So you have to be like really indirect. So the language has developed so that you have all these strange indirect methods of being polite. And it's quite interesting. So that's what we're going to look at today.
Oh, great. So you think we've developed these indirect methods because we don't have the polite form of you?
I think partly,
Mhm.
yeah.
Okay.
You need to go round the Wrekin instead of being direct.
You do indeed.
Round the Wrekin is a Birmingham expression, which means going round the long way.
Yeah, that's true. You just got to spell reeking correctly. But,
It's what happens when you leave a London in charge of the subtitles. Yeah. I'm referring to the video again. So John, yeah, and just one more point, yeah, because we did, of course, if you're those who know a little bit of Shakespeare in English, we used to have another form of you, didn't we, John?
yes. I'm trying to think what it is. Thou? No.
Thou, yeah,
There we
thou
go.
art
Okay. Thou,
confused.
thou art as beautiful as a buttercup.
Yeah, exactly. So thou was the informal, the familiar
What was
form.
it familiar?
You,
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah,
I thought it was more formal. No.
no, no,
Oh,
no, no, no.
wow. Okay, cool.
Thou was a familiar form, like
Mm.
tu in French,
Okay. Mm.
and you was the formal form. If you go back further in history, in English language history, you was the plural. That's why you still in English you see it today because it's you are. Are is like the plural form, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
He is, she is, it is. So there's a singulars, and we are is a plural. They are is a plural, and you should be you is, shouldn't it? If it's a singular, no, it's you are.
So would have Shakespeare say thou is?
No, thou art.
Ah, so it's
Thou
even more
art,
confusing.
thou
Okay.
art. Yeah, we won't go into Shakespeare.
Okay,
We'll do that
fair
for
enough.
another
Fair enough.
podcast. You just got to know that there was at one time, it kind of died out. I think it's of dialect forms. Even, even recently, thou was being used in some dialects in Yorkshire and places, but in general English, I think 19th century or even the earlier 18th century, it was dying out, wasn't it? We'll go on. I want to say also that I made a couple of videos on Let Them Talk TV about being polite. And what I was surprised is one is called Please Don't Say Please. It's kind of catchy title. It's saying that, the word please is not always polite. Anyway, I'll come to that in a second. But I got so many angry comments on that video. I was really surprised. Yeah. Yeah,
So
people took offense to it. I was just it was
impolite
just
comments.
I was just trying to say, just showing like different ways to be polite in English. And somebody said the ways I did it seem, well, I'll come to in a second. You'll see what I mean. Seem rude. This guy is rude, sarcastic, uneducated, unsophisticated, adolescent,
Adolescent. Wow. Okay.
as if you were never taught proper etiquette. That's what somebody said to me.
Well, Londoners. What can you say? It's probably true, right?
And someone else said, all this indirect talk sounds a bit manipulative to me. So it's not manipulative, it's not true. But
everybody has an opinion. So.
Everyone has an opinion. And yeah, because the title is Please Don't Say Please. And I was trying to make the point that the please can be kind of passive aggressive. Just because you're using please doesn't mean it's polite. I say, John, please don't be late. Or please do that for me, John. It just doesn't sound very polite, does it?
No, but yeah, I don't know. I suppose it does help, doesn't it, in some ways, though. But yeah, I know what you mean. It's kind of like saying, really don't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. There is this aggressive please. You just think that because you add please to the sentence, it's polite, but really it kind of be aggressive.
Yeah, no, you're right.
John, please help me. If I say, John, you couldn't help me, could you? That's much more polite, isn't it?
Please help me. Yeah, but please help me would be kind of more of a desperation, wouldn't it? Like you're drowning in the sea. Please help me. Why is nobody helping me?
Well, it depends on the context. If you're playing video games and I'm doing the work and you should be doing the work, I might say, oh, John, please help me.
Okay.
But that would be a bit angry, though, in a way. Says, John, hey, John, could you put that down? You can put that down, could you? Anyway, we'll come to that. I'm going to hold that thought because a few ways. of being polite. Yeah, the first way you could use is, of course, you could use would you mind? Do you mind? Would you mind helping me? That's quite common, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm very happy for you to help me if you say that. Yeah. Because it's like you're kind of giving me a choice, aren't you? Like, would you mind?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Maybe you can give an example sentence.
Me?
Yeah.
Would you mind telling me how you developed your lovely Brummy accent?
Oh, okay. Yes, I'm happy to explain that another time.
Okay. Sure.
I always had a problem because there's some people ask me in the class, would you mind and do you mind if there's a difference? It's a difficult question to answer, actually. They're very similar. You could also use do you mind in one case where you don't use would you mind, and that is if you are making a complaint. Like, for example, you're making a noise, you're playing your Slade LP or whatever music you listen to, and I'm trying to work. And I would say something like, John, do you mind? I'm trying to work. Rather than would you mind?
Yeah, it's normally Black Sabbath, but
yeah. Okay, yeah, Black Sabbath. So we often use do you mind to make a complaint.
Yeah.
Do you mind, John? I'm busy now. Could you turn down the music?
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. Because you wouldn't say would you mind, would you, in that case? No.
In that case, no.
Okay.
It could be rude, though, could you? I could say, do you mind? Then that would be not so polite.
Yeah, well, that's it, isn't it? I suppose that's often maybe more of a teacher thing, isn't it? Do you mind?
Do you mind? Yeah. Not would you mind? Okay. So when you can, so most of the time it's interchangeable, but do you mind? You're making a complaint, and you can say it politely or impolitely. We agree?
Yeah, we agree.
Negative sentences followed by a question tag. I got lots of complaints about this in the comments of my video.
You always seem to get complaints. Maybe it's just you.
I'll give you an example. We can give some examples in a second, but some people said it's manipulative. It sounds, because in other languages it sounds like that, but not in English. In English, it's perfectly okay. It's perfectly polite. For example, John, I'm really busy. You couldn't help me with this, could you? That's very polite, isn't it?
It is polite, yeah. Yeah, it's especially because of the way you rise the tone at the end.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, there's a rising tone. John, I'm broke. You couldn't lend me £50,000, could you? Yeah,
I'll put it in a McDonald's bag and give it to you tomorrow.
Okay. So it's polite, isn't it? That does sound polite. If I said, please give me £50,000, it doesn't sound so polite.
I'd probably tell you where to go if you said, yeah.
Please give me £50,000. No, it's not polite. But the negative sentence with the question tag, could you? Would you? Can you?
Everybody's going to be trying to get £50,000 out of other people now by being
out of you.
Out of me. Oh, good point. I haven't got that much money.
Yes, I thought you told me before the podcast that you keep your cash under your bed.
What? Don't tell
23 Acacia Avenue, East Ham. So negative sentence, a question tag. Maybe you can think of example. Can you, for the listeners, can you think of an example? You couldn't, could you, or something like that?
You couldn't make me a cup of coffee, could you?
Of course, I'll make you a cup of coffee, John.
Oh, that's very kind.
How many? Do you take sugar?
I don't know. No, I'm sweet enough as I am.
Oh, yeah. Now, also, this is interesting. Maybe you hadn't thought of this. If you're in a hotel, because you don't hear this phrase much outside sort of very formal environments, you use the future continuous for to be polite, to be extremely polite. So, for example, you're a guest at Hotel Bastardo, John, and I say to you, welcome, John. Will you be wanting breakfast in the morning?
Yeah.
Will you be needing anything else?
Yeah, I don't stay hotels that are that posh though, so I've never really experienced this,
Okay.
but I'm
But
sure this is a regular thing for you.
yeah, yes, possibly. But you're familiar with the grammatical term.
I am familiar with the grammatical term, but it seems very formal though, doesn't it? In a way, it's kind
It
of
is.
it's like a servant, isn't it? When you're saying that, it's like a butler or something.
Yeah.
You'd
It does
probably,
exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
you'd probably hear that phrase in Downton Abbey, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
From the butler.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Well, I mean, you might hear it in real life, but it's less common. But it is it's quite a nice way of expressing yourself.
Mhm.
So rarely you might do it in a normal conversation if you're very sort of hesitating and you're sort of checking if the other person's okay with something. So, John, will you be staying the night? Will you be joining us for dinner? So I'm not sure this guy. I don't know him very well, so I'm going to ask very, very politely. So will you be joining us later?
Yeah, I'm going to stay at your house for 3 days.
That's okay. So you're making an offer, and so will you be plus continuous, and it's strange also because verbs like to want normally they're stative verbs and they don't have ing. I'm wanting this. No, it's very rare, but this is an exception when you're doing it in sort of this polite form. It's an exception, isn't it?
It is, yeah, but I would suggest though nowadays it's not really used so much. That idea is that your example you're giving. I mean, maybe with another generation, an older generation, it was more a form of being polite, but kind of being impolite as well, if that makes sense. So it's like, oh, will you be staying? Is like, okay, I don't want you to stay, but I'm trying to be polite.
No, I don't know. I don't completely agree with that. I think you'd
No?
be if you
Okay.
listen out. It's still used a little bit. It's still used a little bit. It's very
Okay.
formal way,
Hmm.
but you might, under certain situations, use it. If you're making an offer
Mm-hmm.
and you're sort of taking a distance and you're not putting any pressure on the person,
Mm.
that's why you use it. Because do you want to do you want to do this? It's sort of I'm involved in your decision, but
Mm.
will you be wanting saying it's not up to me. I don't mind.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Hmm.
So will we be doing a podcast next week? I might ask you that, John. Will we be doing a podcast next week?
That's true, isn't it?
Will
Yeah.
you be wanting to do another one?
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. You should say those things more to me. It sounds much more polite. I feel
Yeah.
you're respecting
Okay.
me much more
It's
that
just
way.
you're not used to people being polite to you.
No, that's probably the reason why.
When you disagree with people, I think this is an interesting thing. And I think some people learning English have difficulty in kind of saying no or turning down an invitation in a polite way. Because if I say to you, John, do you want to come with me to see Leeds United next week? You say,
I
no, I don't. But there are other ways. John, maybe you can help with this, John. Yeah.
yeah, sure. I would
John, are
love
you going to see Leeds United with me next week?
I would love to, but I think Leeds are rubbish. I mean, sorry, they're not very good.
Okay.
That wasn't right, was it? Sorry.
Okay. I should tell the listeners I'm not really a football fan, but when I was a kid, I was sort of a fan of Leeds United.
Were you?
Not just I just use it. Yeah,
Oh,
even though
okay.
I'm from London.
Oh,
That's a long story, but
okay.
not very interesting story. But
Okay.
I
Fair enough.
still like to use it as an example.
Okay.
Now, yeah. So anyway, use a good expression. I would love to, but that's a good way of saying no.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to, but yeah.
Well, thanks so much for asking me, but I have other plans. I'm going out.
Ah, nice. Yeah. Thanks so much.
Yeah.
But that's good. Yeah. Anything else?
Unfortunately, I can't because my mum's not feeling very well, and I
Okay.
have to give her some Lemsip.
Okay. It's a better excuse than unfortunately I can't. I'm washing my hair this evening.
Yeah, that doesn't work with me, does it? Like, with my lack of hair.
Well, luckily there's no video on this podcast. So to make that clear.
I mean, I'm sure it happens frequently with you because you know your hair, your barnet definitely needs quaffing.
It does. I have a lot of hair, so albeit grey. I've gone grey, but I have to keep my hair. Anything else? So that's good. Yeah, you give me some good. Anything else you might say?
That sounds great, but my girlfriend wants to go out to dinner.
John, you want to go for a coffee this afternoon? John, do you want to go out for a coffee?
I'm afraid I can't. Sorry. I've got to go to the laundrette to wash all my dirty clothes.
Ah, nice. Okay. So there you go. Yeah, I'm afraid it's very common in English to say to turn down an offer.
Yeah,
or
I
to
think
say,
I think that's worth talking about though, because I think some students would think that, I'm scared of something, but it doesn't mean that at
yeah,
all, does it?
it doesn't mean that at all, does it?
No. It is a polite way, isn't it? I'm afraid I can't do something. I mean, obviously, if you say I'm afraid, depending on the context, on its own, it's like, oh, I'm afraid there's a ghost out there.
Yeah,
Then obviously
yeah,
in that
that's a
case,
different reason. Yeah, that's good. But I should say also that one response which is very common, which I don't personally don't like,
mhm.
is "I'm sorry," but because I don't like that because I don't see why people need to apologize for turning down an invitation. Would you like to come for coffee with me? I'm sorry. You don't need to apologize. You didn't do anything wrong. So I don't know why people say I'm sorry, but it's just a personal dislike. I'm sure you'll hear it a lot. So, listeners, you can completely ignore what I'm saying if you want, because a lot of
Yeah.
people will say that when I'm sorry about. But I personally prefer I'm afraid, because it's not my fault. So I'm afraid saying it's I haven't done anything wrong, but I'm not going for a coffee with you, John. You
Yeah,
bastard.
you bastard. It's the second time you called me that. Yeah, I think the sorry one is quite curious because I often get students talking about that in London where, you're on the tube and maybe somebody bumps into you slightly and they say, I'm sorry. And then often the other person says sorry as well, which is which is quite a curious thing,
To
isn't it?
resolve conflict. Yeah, just
Yeah.
everyone says sorry.
Yeah, even though you didn't do anything, and it's just like a reaction, isn't it?
Yeah, I think there are too many stories. It drives me a bit crazy when people, in the cafe, hear something. Sorry, can I have a coffee? Why you before you order the coffee? You say, sorry, can I have a coffee, please? Well, you start every sentence with sorry. You're like
Yeah,
apologizing for being there. No,
but I
would you mind giving
suppose,
me a coffee? Would you mind serving me yeah?
yeah, sure. But I guess in that context as well, sorry, could you give me a coffee? Is kind of attracting attention, isn't it? It's like a way of saying, "Excuse me, can you see me? Sorry." It's quite a bizarre way of attracting attention, isn't it?
It is, but I think it just shows that the person is sort of not confident in themselves,
Mm, mm,
and yeah, shows a lack of confidence.
mhm,
And I'm not sure. I just also you shouldn't start an interaction with the word sorry.
mm. Okay, yeah, I'd agree
You,
with that.
that's right. I think you should say sorry if you've done something wrong. If you've done something wrong, so sorry, John, for calling you a bald bastard. I really apologize. I was stupid. I was wrong. It's mean. It's cruel. I shouldn't make fun of you. I really am. So actually, I shouldn't have said that. I am sorry. I do genuinely apologize. That's not a very nice thing to say. I was just seeking an example, John. So I
In
genuinely apologize. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I feel slightly victimized. Yeah, I need to come back at you with something.
There's too many things. Too many things. Let's say I'll change the subject rather quickly before John thinks of all the ways he can insult me. Maybe shall I leave that in or cut that out, John? Because I
I think,
didn't mean to be rude.
well, I think you should leave it in. I mean,
Really?
I am sobbing uncontrollably
No,
here, but
no, I'm genuinely a bit sorry. No,
oh,
I shouldn't.
oh,
I
bless.
shouldn't. I was just seeking an example, and I
Okay, don't
know we
worry,
were joking about hair earlier. So
don't worry,
anyway,
don't worry, don't worry. With your
um,
scarecrow Barnet.
yes, a barnet. If the listeners don't know, just it means your hair in London English. Barnet fair hair. So okay, so all right. So if you do insist on saying sorry, that's okay. Although I prefer I'm afraid or I would love to, but So, hey, let me ask you a question then. So I take you to this very nice restaurant, which is probably unlikely that I would take you to such a nice place, John. But and I ask you, how do you like the food? And I'm paying for the food and everything, so you want to be polite to the what do you the balti, of
Hmm.
some sort of Indian food. How do you like the balti, John? How would you react by being polite instead of saying no? It's disgusting. It's horrible.
It's lovely.
Would you lie? Would you tell the truth?
Oh, that's a good question.
Would you tell the truth, or would you politely tell me otherwise?
Ooh, yeah, that's a tricky one. Well, I mean, I would probably, because it's you. I would tell you directly, but yeah, I mean, I suppose if I didn't know you very well, then I'd probably say something like, yeah, it's nice, but are you sure this has 3 Michelin stars?
There's no way I'd take you to a 3 Michelin stars restaurant. I'm sorry. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm genuinely sorry about that, but
Oh well, I can dream.
there's no way as a vegetarian I would spend 400 euros on a meal when I could get.
Vegetarians don't like spending money on food. I suppose vegetables are
No, no,
quite
it's not
cheap,
like
aren't
this.
they?
No, because I think all these Michelin star places, it's all about sort of the quality of the meat and everything like that,
Mm.
uh, um, and the fresh fish and everything like that, whatever it is. But
Mhm.
if you're just eating vegetables, you should think, do I really need to spend 400 euros for a few vegetables or whatever it is?
Yeah, no, that's
Am I
true.
right? Maybe
It
this is that used. Yeah.
no, well, it's true, isn't it? I guess, yeah, with vegetables, it's a bit more tricky to justify a high
I guess
price.
there are expensive things like truffles and stuff like that. I'm
Mm.
not even that crazy about them. But,
Are you not? Wow, what's wrong with you?
well, it's okay. Yeah, yeah, I can manage, but I can't eat, truffles every day of the week.
Fair enough.
White truffles.
But you
Mm.
can't afford it. So, yeah.
No, I can't. Oh, good way. Here's a good way. A little tip for you. If you want to say that you don't like something,
Mm-hmm.
you can say it's not my favorite.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's
Yeah.
quite nice, isn't it? Yeah, it's well, yeah, it's okay, but it's not my favorite Balti. I've had ones that are superior.
This is true, yeah. Yeah. That is a good way of doing it, yeah.
Yeah, I like that way. What about this then? For example, you don't understand what I'm saying, and you want me to repeat or explain. And if I'm blah 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 blah,
Mm. Would you mind repeating that?
yeah, that's very nice. Yeah. And now here's another confession, which you should not follow, but I usually say, "What?"
That's not good, is it?
It's not good. I shouldn't teach that to my students. But I've been told off. My grandmother, if she rest in peace, used to tell me off because she'd say something. I say, "What? What?" And she said, "Don't say what. Say, listen to John. John's so polite. He would say something like, would you mind repeating that?" Or what else, John?
Could you say that again, please?
Could you say that again, please?
Or I'm
Or
sorry, I didn't quite catch that.
I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch that.
Yeah.
Nice, all nice expressions.
They are good expressions, aren't they? I mean, this is something that kind of irks me a little bit, so annoys me slightly, is when people who are learning English use what a lot. And yeah, I mean, I guess we would say pardon, wouldn't we, often as well? Which,
Pardon.
pardon.
Yeah, sounds a bit. Yeah, maybe it sounds a bit formal sometimes. Pardon. Yeah, but you can. Yeah, yeah.
You
So
can, yeah. I mean, it can sound a bit formal, but I think also it's partly from where you're from as well. Like, I mean, I think probably some parts of England use it more than others. So, I mean, I would use it. I say, pardon, what did you say?
yeah, yeah. Fair
But I
point.
get, yeah. So I suppose because I guess pardon would it be a French word originally?
Yes.
So I do notice
Pardonnez-moi.
exactly. So I do find a lot of French people would say what.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know if you've experienced that, but that's I'm guessing that that's partly because it is a French word and it's obviously pronounced differently in French
Yeah. Right.
and doesn't seem to translate very well, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, that
Yeah.
makes sense. I would say this is another case where a lot of people would say sorry. But I think that case is another sort of passive aggressive sorry. Sorry, which doesn't sound much better than what? Don't you think?
Yeah, potentially, but again, it
No,
depends
you
how you.
don't, do you? You
Well,
don't, do
it
you?
depends how you say it. I think sorry can be quite a nice thing to say in those circumstances, as long as it's not used in
Maybe.
your passive aggressive way, because it really does.
Sorry.
It really does depend how you say it. So if
True.
you because if you say blah, 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 sorry, could you?
I just think you should say sorry when you are sorry. That's call me old fashioned, but
Mm.
not just for every other word. Sorry. I think it's just too much.
No, what I agree that it's too much to use it for every other word. That I would agree with that. But yeah, I think when you don't understand somebody, I think on occasions it's quite nice to use it.
Okay. All right. Well, one more point, actually. What if I say something which is kind of stupid or wrong and you disagree with me? So, for example, if I say, can't think of something controversial, Bob Dylan is the greatest singer of all time.
I see what you mean, but don't you think Ozzy Osbourne is much better?
No, shut up. Okay. No, it's a good point, John. That's so I see what you mean. That's nice. I see what you mean.
Or I could say, I respect your point. I believe there are other singers out there that are probably better.
John, when you go to the interview, you should wear red trousers and a red shirt to attract attention. That's how you should behave.
Yeah, you could be right, but don't forget that people get angry when they see red.
Okay. So you say you could be right, but
Mm-hmm.
okay, that's good. That's a good point. Or if I say people should wear masks at home when they're alone.
I understand what you're saying, but on the other hand, isn't it a bit silly when there's nobody else around?
Okay. Smoking is good for you.
I'm not sure about that.
Not so sure about that. Yeah. Yeah. That's quite clear. You mean no.
Yeah. Yeah. Because also these things, I think it's worth pointing out, isn't it, that when we do these things, it is a way of being non-confrontational as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because obviously
Exactly.
you can disagree in an impolite way, but that's quite confrontational, isn't it?
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, you might be speaking to a friend, and you consider them a friend, but you just disagree with them on a particular issue. So you can just disagree politely. Yeah, this all works. Because if you say you're totally wrong, you're an idiot, that's just going to alienate them, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, we've spoken about this before, I'm sure, on another podcast, but I've had this before from students that say that they say our politeness is a way of lying.
Yeah.
And I always think, well, no, it's just a way of being nice to people, because you don't necessarily have to be, if you disagree with somebody, you don't have to be nasty to them or impolite, do you? You don't have to, the concept of disagreeing with somebody should be a civilized concept in a sense,
Yeah.
if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Makes sense.
Because there's no point in saying, for example, you're talking about Bob Dylan and you think he's amazing. I love his music. And in my mind, I'm like, oh, that guy's an idiot. But
Be careful what you say, John.
but if I say to you, I see what you mean, but I'm not really sure. that would be correct. Yeah, I'm not really sure about that. Whereas if I say to you, I see what you mean, but I think he's an idiot.
Okay.
It's not necessary, is it, for me to say that?
No. Let me ask you another one. So Matt Damon is the greatest actor of all time.
Well, I respect your point of view, but can he do a Brummy accent?
That's true. Matt Damon's never heard him say Awomya.
He hasn't.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to write to Matt. I'm sending him an email this afternoon, and he's going to introduce the next podcast with Awomya. In his American accent. Awamya.
Is he?
Bad American accent. Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. It's good that you two are such good friends. So
yeah. It's about time we had him on the show, isn't it?
It is really, yeah. I'm surprised. Well, he has been on it before, hasn't he? Or has he? I can't remember.
Or was it just somebody impersonating him? One or the other. Anyway, we've got you. Who needs Matt Damon? I've got Jon.
Well, exactly. I'm more famous than Matt Damon. I mean,
exactly.
who's Matt Damon anyway? So, yeah.
Well, Jon, I think we're coming swiftly to an end now. But now is your chance. Take it, grab it with both hands. Tell the listener who the hell you are and why they should listen to your podcast.
Sure. Yeah. My name is Jon. I am a wonderful, awesome teacher and very modest. And I am in London with Monty English. And we have a podcast called English with Monty, which also talks about the wonderful English language and helps you. And we've been doing 8-minute English recently. So if you don't have a huge amount of time and you want to brush up on your grammar in particular, 8-minute English is something to listen to.
Yes. Do it. Do it now.
Do it now. Have you listened to my 8-minute English?
Yes. It's great.
Have you? Really?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Okay. Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
So, and yeah, you've got you've already mentioned it a couple of times, haven't you? But you've got the TV channel, haven't you?
Yes, do check out Let Them Talk TV. Follow us there. Follow us on Zeitgeist Banana. And, well, catch you next time. Bye.
Bye. See you soon.